Hello, Swivelheads. This is Greg Allison, Swivelhead News, and tonight we're going to talk about the Trump Musk war. This is a very disconcerting thing because we just had a war, a battle between the richest man on earth and the most powerful man on earth, and it was a dirty war. It was dirty, it was personal, and it could do lasting damage. Let me get this thing centered a little better. It could do lasting damage to the body politic in the United States and have other repercussions. Now, that said, I understand why Musk did what he did. However, Musk was lacking. He's maybe somewhat smart technically and as a businessman, but he is actually lacking in political acumen. He missed a point and it's cost him dearly. And now he's licking his wounds and coming back to Trump, kind of trying to get back in on his good graces. It isn't going to work out as good for him this time around. So Trump lost, Elon lost $24 billion in a single day on Tesla trades just due to this spat. So it's not going so well for Elon. Not at all what he expected. And again, that's because he really couldn't foresee what was going on. Now, it started out, according to Elon, with a big, beautiful bill. And look, Elon slept on the floor in government buildings for many, many weeks. He worked many long hours. He lost political favor. He lost his market share. A lot of his market were liberals who turned against him very violently. They started attacking his company, customers for his vehicles, which, is off the cuff, but still it was liberals attacking liberals who followed the dictates that were given to buy electric vehicles, and yet suddenly they found themselves being attacked for doing what the liberals told them to do by the liberals, which is, pretty much par for course. Nobody accused them of having great endowment of sanity in that department, my friends. But anyway, I'm going to pull up the chat room here to see what's on here. I'm going to cut the volume down, hopefully. Okay, good. So that's why I can keep up with anything going on in the chat room. But I'm going to save most chat discussions for the end of this little short news piece here, because there's the news amount. I got just a few articles to go over, but I'm going to kind of give you the straight and skinny first. And that is that, indeed, our budget deficit is heinous. It is going to be our downfall if we don't see something about it. But what the Congressional Budget Office failed to take into account, and Elon Musk didn't see, was where this bill could actually save a lot of money. Because, for one thing, this bill guts and busts a lot of the deep state. And for that reason, I support it. One of the things it's to do is it's going to add ICE enforcement officers who are right now under attack, and it's going to add Customs Border Patrol agents, quite a few of these, to try to get illegal immigrants, especially the gangs. Hopefully they'll work on the sleeper cell candidates and get these guys out of our country. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to decrease the amount of people that are actually drawing from Social Security and many other forms of public welfare, Medicare, and such. And it's going to reduce those rolls dramatically. So it's going to be a net savings to the government in the long run in those areas. Now, there's tax cuts. This is one of the reasons that it's got such a seeming budget deficit out there. But here's the funny thing that the Congressional Budget Office, nor Elon Musk, nor a lot of your liberal community takes into account, and they tell you it don't exist. They tell you that trickle-down economics don't work. Actually, these tax cuts are across the board and not just for the rich. And a lot of people need to understand that. But it's your taxes. But guys, every time that, starting back with JFK, when JFK, John Kennedy, cut taxes, revenues picked up. The federal government actually got more revenue. Reagan looked at that and said, hey, I like that. He copied that, and it worked during the Reagan administration. The first couple of years in the Reagan administration, they was readjusting from the malaise left over from the Carter years. But then the economy picked up and boomed under Reagan. Oh, he was attacked very, very hard in his first couple of years, but the economy actually boomed under Reagan. And that happened in Trump's first term, too. He did the same thing. He come these taxes. These tax cuts are expiring. If this bill does not pass, your taxes are going to go up considerably. So that's something to bear in mind. But the good news is that every time we've cut taxes, and this has more tax cuts in it, every time we've cut taxes under RFK, under, excuse me, JFK, yeah, I keep thinking we got RFK now and FDA, which I think is an amazing thing. But when we cut taxes, revenues have actually gone up. Why? Because people invest more. People that are hiding money overseas and so forth have been induced to bring their money back in the United States. There's several different reasons for this. Plus, the economy just gets more productive. People have more incentive to produce when they know they get to keep more of their money. That's what makes free enterprise a great system. And something that people in the socialist mindset, and they can never compute that in their heads. It just, they're incapable of computing that. But it has worked, and it's worked, and it's worked over and over. So that's the good news. And we got Wiseau in the house. Good to see you, Wiseau. Anyway, Billy. So I'll look at the notes here in a little bit. So the thing is that there are several potential items in this bill, which means it may not cost nearly what it looks like it's going to cost, especially down the road. But with the authority it gives Trump to fire and dismiss a lot of people in the government, to downsize these agencies in time, it's going to save money in the long run. So Elon missed the big picture. He can only see what was right in front of his nose. And the other thing is, Elon went in saying he was going to save $1 trillion with DOGE. He just saved a few hundred million. Nowhere near what he claimed he was going to save, and nowhere near what he probably could have saved, especially if he said, let's just cut these agencies by X amount, various ones. But it's also been reputed that the real genesis of this fight wasn't even that, or what Trump said. Trump says, well, he knew he was going to get cuts on his EVs credits, but actually Musk did know that, and he had actually supported that even under Biden administration. Said, why are you funding this stuff? So I don't think that was it. I think that was not quite it, but some say that the dismissal of Isaacman as the nominee to take over NASA had a lot to do with it. That he really was a big fan of Isaacman, and he really, really wanted him to take over NASA because he had a very pro space development philosophy, even though Isaacman himself said he wouldn't be beholden to Musk, and that he did have a priority on the moon, which I think it should be that way. But the real reason that Trump apparently got rid of Isaacman is because Isaacman had been a huge donor to Democrats. And Trump just was bothered by that. Elon had countered, well, look, you were a Democrat yourself, and you want us to hire this guy, would show that you're open to these things, but it just didn't sit right with with Trump at all. So he just did not feel that Isaacman would be loyal. Now, I don't know. It seemed like he would have been good for NASA, given some of his take. He was a private businessman, paid his own trip into space. So, yeah, we'll see. But, Trump hopefully will find another good candidate for that slot. But apparently that was the real beginnings of the downfall. And they had a meeting even before all this spat tuck out, and then which probably things didn't go well. For some reason, at his farewell party, Musk showed up with a black eye. We don't know why. There's rumors, and are just rumors, that that Bassett took a slug at him. I don't know. But anyway, whatever. There were definitely people in the Trump camp that did not like Musk. And I thought that was kind of unfortunate because Musk was seemingly trying to reduce the budget. So Steve Bannon was the key guy who was really anti-Musk from the get-go. He said he's tried to warn Trump that Musk would cause him problems. And it appears that Musk is very temperamental. And there might be some other reasons for that. We're going to go into in a little bit. I'm going to show you something that's kind of shocking for a guy that of his stature, that's got companies and contracts that are very defense sensitive. He's got a problem. He's got an issue. Not to mention he may have some personality issues, but this may be part of what has driven this. I don't know. But we'll just go look at this stuff. So the fact of the matter is, they got in a real big fight. They had something of a peace offers between them. But apparently Trump says, look, I'm not interested in talking to Musk because I got the stuff that I got a country to run. I'm really busy. So Musk will probably never see the good graces he once did, no matter what. All that said, It's most unfortunate that this has happened. A lot of dirty laundry went out, and a lot of it was just accusations in the heat of the moment. Let's hope most of it wasn't true on either side, but it was definitely an ugly, ugly fight and argument. So, especially on the Epstein stuff. Now, we do know that Trump knew Epstein, but everybody knew Epstein, so it doesn't necessarily incriminate him. But if it would be found that he was in the Epstein's files, let the chips fall where they may. There are a lot of people that don't believe that, and even Musk backtracked on that. Musk backed out on that himself. But he did a lot of damage putting it out there. So there's a lot of black eyes that went around in this fight. So let's share some news articles, and there's some other stuff to talk about too. This isn't the only thing that's cooking. I just did a video on my Green Greg's channel talking about the riots in LA. Before I get in there, I'll just mention something. We had mentioned that they were going to send the National Guard. Now it looks like the Marine Corps at Camp Pendleton is on alert that they're going too. So we're going to have Marines and National Guard, Marine troops. So this is getting out of hand. It's gotten rid of it. Oh, and the other thing, what I warned about in that video is it might become like the Floyd riots. And indeed, it seems that some have already started burning buildings in LA. It's like the last thing we need in LA is another set of fires, right? Oh, Lord. Anyway, so there's already some buildings that's been set afire. I don't think the city's burning like some of your cities in Minnesota did it yet. Let's hope it don't get to that, and let's hope that the federal Trump ain't going to put up with that. Trump is not going to put up with that. They'll bring in the military and they'll stop that kind of nonsense, hopefully. So, but that's what certain groups in this country want to do. They want to start this thing into a big inferno like they had that summer with the Floyd riots. Of course, the news media just patted them all on the back. Oh, they're burning down buildings, they're burning down cities. Oh, they're such sweet, good people. Pat, pat, pat. Look what good things they're doing. And some people lost their existence on this planet, started pushing daisies as a result of that, but they ignored that. And instead went after people a couple of years later that took a guided tour through the Capitol and denied them due process. But anyway, for whatever it's worth, the media is very lopsided on this. That's why a lot of us don't listen to the lamestream news media. So I'm going to show you a set of articles that come from various and sundry sources. So hopefully oh, wait a minute, I got to change this other page before I do that. Get sick of here. One moment, please. Ding, ding, ding. Dial up the right place. And I will come back to the chat room in a little bit. But I want to hit for the people that's going to watch us in the morning that's drinking their coffee. They want a quick newscast. So for them, watch the first part. And then when I get to the chat room, you'll know the news is over. I'll tell you when the news is over. So let's get into the share. Bada bing, bada bang. Boom. Here we are in futurism. Trump confronted Musk in private before their blowout public fight. So, and there he is pointing his finger at him. Uh-oh. Musk isn't looking too happy at that point. So we can see that there was some bad blood already brewing. Massive expo behind the curtain scenes. New York Times revealed the pair was already squabbling immediately after Musk's famous farewell party. Well, like I said, he shut up the farewell party with a black eye, so maybe it started before then. Anyways, I'm not going through all this in great detail, but here again, it picks on this appointment of Isaacman, a former registered Democrat, says former. So that may have been part of it. And let's see, I got to move something so I can't tab my tabs because the Zoom part's overlaid directly over my Google. I moved the Google down just to prevent this. Let's see, something's got to move. Give me a second here. Problem with things is find a place to grab it where it don't do something you don't want it to do. I hate this. Everything it grabs a button. I want to move where this thing is showing up at. Give me a second, guys. Wow, maybe I can just move this up. Maybe I don't do that. Okay, good. Wow. Anyway, Zoom really gets in the way of the tabs I'm trying to show you. It lays right over them. I can't tab through my article sometimes. Anyway, one of this, this is not a Trump friendly rag here. apparently. Here at this obsessed Trump land, they call it. Trump issues jaw dropping a third threat to Elon Musk. And they're showing, a picture of him not looking so statesmanlike. Anyway, talking about the anger that picked up. But basically, I think what this is getting to is he threatened to cancel some of his contracts because, the bill is a $2.4 trillion bill. And Musk said it was ugly and pork filled. Well, it is a big bill. What Trump says, if he don't back off, basically he was worried he was actually going to donate money to Democrats. Because, see, one of the things Elon did is Elon went out and told his followers on X to contact their congressman and tell them to vote against this bill. And he tried to shame, in the Senate, he tried to shame the House members that voted for it. And, he was talking about forming a third party. And there was some rumors that he might turn around and just fund a bunch of Democrats. And it was to that, funding the Democrats, that Trump came back and says if he does, he'll have to pay with consequences for that. He'll have to pay very serious consequences. Of course, Musk comes back, yeah, well, I gave you $288 million and I got you elected president. And he said that was ingratitude. So you can see a lot of ingratitude stuff popping around. The Epstein stuff came in, but which Musk went back and deleted that later, and he's backtracked on it. But apparently it was the threat of some of his, there he is with a black eye, guys. It was, how did he get that black eye? He had some lame excuse for it, but what was it? So what was it really? So Trump said he was being very disrespectful, and that he was. But there's the threat that he would cancel Elon's contracts, to which Elon snapped back and says, well, I'll just take my rocket company and go home and we'll stop launching the space station. And, Trump made out, like, well, it was canceling his contracts, and maybe we can go somewhere else. Honestly, there ain't nobody else that can launch the space station right now. Boeing, we paid Boeing many, many times more than we paid SpaceX, and Boeing never could get it up. Why do we give Boeing an X-47 contract to do a jet fighter? That's crazy. Boeing seems everything they build right now is falling out of the sky. So, as you know, Bannon very much wanted to federalize SpaceX. SpaceX is too critical. We can't just lose it. So let's federalize it. Let's take it from Elon, SpaceX, and Tesla. I think he was threatening to federalize. And he came back and told, Elon says, well, Trump's only got 3.5 years. I'll be around another 40. And to which Steve Bannon says, bro, I hope you know how to work in a prison cell for 40 years. Now, I don't know what it was that Steve Bannon had in his shirt sleeve, what ace card he was hiding or whatever. But he seemed to think that there was something in the cards that could put Elon into prison. Now, that is probably, I don't know, he's probably just blowing off too, but that's quite a allegation to make. I don't know. You can see how serious this was getting. But, Donald Trump could see SpaceX and Elon after President got caught in tit-for-tat war with Tesla boss over this NASA threat. That's basically said he'd just pull out and wouldn't be sending crews to the International Space Station. You can see Brandon there. He was now saying Musk must be deported because, Musk had talked about actually impeaching Trump. Okay, now the stupid Zoom thing moved on me. Why is it doing that? It's like it's fighting me. Must be some little Chinaman back there running this thing. Oh, this Greg Allison. He not friendly to Xi Jinping. We have to give him a tough time. I don't know. Anyway, and Elon came out and wanted to create a new political party. Look, he's done alienated people on the left and the right, and he's done showed a lack of ability to see the big picture, the long game. So I think his prospects of forming a successful political party are somewhat greatly overstated. So I wouldn't put a lot of faith in that. Anyway, by the way, I'm not even sure he can get the Starship up. I think we're at risk. There's issues with Starship. Starship looks like it's overbuilt, too heavy, and yet even though being too heavy, it's not strong enough. So Starship may be a no-go. And if it is, we got some problems. Anyway, and the name of his new political party was going to be the American Party. That's what he's going to call it, the AP. Sure, the Associated Press would love that, especially since they've been barred from the White House. And the Supreme Court upheld that when they appealed. Anyway, and then Musk says, wait a minute, I got to turn around after he lost 24, early $27 billion in a day with the Tesla stocks and some other things. I guess maybe the banning threats, or maybe he just realized that he was in trouble. So anyway, he backed away from some of his claims, like the Epstein files. And let's see, there's another little piece in here I was wanting to bring to your attention that, if I can find it, it's backtracking. Let's see, somebody made a statement. I'm not seeing it here. Not in this article, I guess. Anyway, one of the guys who's involved in the stock market, maybe it's in this article here. Let's see. No, it was in that one somewhere. I just didn't see it. I can't really highlight things that even highlighted in these articles up like this. But they're one of the big investment fund guys basically said, for the sake of the country, you guys ought to work it out. And Elon come back and says that you're not wrong. So he was starting to see the error in his ways. Trump and Musk had basically bid each other a farewell after this fight, wishing each other well. Mr. Trump avoided taking swaps at the billionaire turning point. So I just wish him well. Hours later, Musk replies likewise. So, and then Musk responded, fair enough, it's the idea he would be taking some cuts. So, they're approaching at least some level of taking the heat out of the fight, basically. Yeah, this is the one with the article. Here it is. Yeah, sometimes I got some. Billy Ackerman, this is the guy. Billionaire hedge fund manager Billy Ackerman stepped into the fray, posting a plea on X that the two men reconcile for the benefit of our great country. We are much stronger together than apart. And that's where Elon come back and said, you're not wrong. Okay. I knew it was somewhere in one of these mixed to one of these articles. So Musk is suddenly groveling to get back in Trump's good graces as he realizes he's made a terrible mistake. But Trump goes, I'm not even thinking about Elon. So yeah, he's thinking about him, but he's playing the art of the deal. So he's trying to be the statesman in this fight by just disengaging and doing his business, his job, which is what he should do. So we'll see how this simmers out, but it looks like that the heat of the fight is cooled off. There will never have another bro fest like they had in the past, probably, but at least maybe the fight will come to an end. But this is what disturbs me here. Now, I don't know if this is true. This is an allegation. It's reported that Musk has an addiction to ketamine, causes constant urination and traveling with drugs while endorsing President Trump. It gives you highs and lows. This may explain him jumping up and down. Some of the crazy looks he's had on his face. Yeah, we'll never see this bro-faced look between the two again, probably. So I went to Google and asked it, what does this ketamine do? Well, it causes changes in brain chemistry. Repeated ketamine use can lead to maladaptive changes in the brain. Maladaptive, that's bad stuff, guys, particularly in areas related to decision-making, memory, impulse control, emotional regulation, the prefrontal cortex, which is what you develop when you mature, like when you're 21 years old, that says, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't do these things because they're a little too explosive. It takes that out. Also, the limbic system, the hippocampus, which is responsible for a lot of your memory. These changes challenge self-control and reinforce compulsive drug-seeking behaviors. Wow, that could really explain what Musk did, why he went off the Nobody else, I bet nobody else has talked about this. Has anybody else reported this aspect and talked about what it means in terms of behavior on YouTube? I bet nobody else has reported this. So hopefully I'm breaking the news on this one. So guys, this is maybe the cause of his tirade, what launched him so far into it. And now he's got remorse, but it's going to be a little hard to make up for it. I mean, you know, maybe the reason Trump don't want to mess with Elon right now, don't want to talk to him, is who wants to pet a biting dog? Who wants to pet the dog that bit you over and over? You see what I'm saying? Would you want to pet a biting dog? So we'll come in a little bit and see what's going on in the chat room. So in other news, you know, we talked about sleeper cells. We've talked about bad influences in our colleges and so forth that China's bought. Well, here's a guy, China Link tech tycoon Neville Singham, secret group of operatives at Columbia University. Wow, guys. The notorious Shanghai-based Marxist millionaire. Well, isn't that an oxymoron? And haven't you seen it so many times? The rich people are promoting Marxism and socialism. Why? Because they're not truly for Marxism. I've said this a million times. I've said it a million times. What they want to do is create neo-feudalism. They want a two-tiered society, one for the elite and one for all the rest of the poor saps that bought into their stupid philosophy. That's the way they want. Xi Jinping is truly one of the richest men in the world. A lot of people just don't know it. He's hid his wealth. He and his family got lots of money offshore. In fact, income inequality, what the pro-communist people always chump about, is greater in China than anywhere. And that's typical in communist countries when you look at their dear leaders, Kim. Anyway, Neville Roy Sam poured the huge fortune he made from selling off his software company, ThoughtWorks, which he got $785 million from, into nonprofits, including the Communist People's Forum in Midtown. He's organized these groups. There are some of his groupies. There are some of the college students he's managed to stir up. And it goes better. Marco Rubio is called for an investigation into Singham's network. We're good. But here's some of the people in his network. Here's nine of the 14 staffers that have been named. Reverend Liz Theohasis, or how you'd say it, Chris Carso, Sierra Taylor, William Baptist, Sharon, I don't know how to pronounce HR, Hirbar. Anyway, guys, so that just gives you some idea. Hey, name names. How about that? Remember when, let's see here. Anyway, guys, a lot of stuff going on. I think you might ought to consider investing in some security. Our dollar might be in trouble. You can buy silver rounds, the visible ones, silver, gold, platinum, and coins, rounds, bars, or you can get gold backs. If you go to defythegrid.com and if you put in the code GreenGregs, you'll get 1% off your purchase. And these guys have the cheapest prices out there because they got a deal on here. It says if you find a better deal anywhere else, they'll meet it or beat it. Nobody else does that. It's because they operate off about a 3 to 4% margin. So when you get a percent, and I only get 1%, it ain't much, but it adds up over time. So it's a good deal. That's why I'm promoting this instead of your other bigger gold vendors that pay, all the other YouTubers are promoting, which gives them 15% commission probably. Anyway, I think it's a good deal, and you get this, the silverbacks from these guys too. And yeah, they got the goldbacks too. They do have silverbacks now. They got the goldbacks, which I think is a great idea because it's small, very small amounts of gold it measured in thousandths of a troy ounce, which you can actually put in your wallet. How about here? Here's a deal for $3.30. Now you're gonna have some shipping costs. So you know you want to order more than one $3.30 bill here. Anyway, Ford is a new one. So check it out. Just check it out and see what you think about it. If it makes sense for you, you might want to go for it. Gold has been a good steady retainer of value. Right now it's at $3,311.37. I think when I started promoting this, it was somewhere around $1,500. So it's really gone up in value. If you'd have bought it back into it back then, you might have something now. It's not as volatile. It's a little volatile, but nothing like the US dollar or Bitcoin, especially. Bitcoin jumped something down like a grasshopper or Mexican, like a grasshopper carrying a Mexican jumping bean. I don't know. Anyway, we'll stop the screen. All right, that's the main news component of this. I am going to check in to the chat room now. So for people catching their cup of Java in the morning, getting ready to go to church or whatever you're going to do, that's the news piece. So I'm going to go through the chat room here, see what people are saying. We got Don. Hey, we got Stray Kitten. Hadn't seen you in a while. And we got Billy Wayne Norwood, Wise Owl. Yep, the federal government getting more revenue and what to do with it. Yeah, another thing they didn't take into account was the money we're getting from the tariffs. That wasn't accounted for. And we're getting a pretty good bit of money and give to Ukraine. We hope not. We hope not. Tired of being a debt slave. Amen to that. Trump made another statement about, oh yeah, Trump said that basically, yeah, this deserves a whole video back on Green Greg's. Trump said that, and this is news, that basically Ukraine invited the licking they just took, that they invited it. Guys, they're trying to set Trump up. They're trying to set him up for war. I said this over on Green Greg's, and I'll repeat it here. Whilst Trump is trying to get a peace treaty negotiated, right in the middle, like the day before a major peace treaty summit meeting, that attack took place. And the day before that, you got Lindsey Graham and Blumenthal in there shaking hands with Zelensky. And you've seen in the video where Mr. Senator Warhawk, Lindsey Graham puts his big thumb up. Yeah, like he probably gave the go-ahead for what took place. Personally, I feel like charges of treason ought to be brought up because that's just despicable that he's trying to create foreign policy and undercut the president, and that whole attack undercut the whole peace process. There'll be no peace now. They knew that. They had this in plan and works, and they instigated it in spite of the so-called peace plan, which means, and so what Trump said back, he said, look, and sometimes, boys just want to fight. And sometimes you just can't stop them. You just got to back off and let them fight. It's obvious that Zelensky does not want peace. Probably because he gets peace, he'll lose his position because nobody's going to reelect him. You know what they're doing over there right now? They're grabbing guys off the street and shoving them in a van. If you happen to be out on the street, they can grab you and shove you in a van and send you off to the meat grinder. Because the troops don't have a very high survival rate in this war. It's awful. So against their will, that's the way they draft people there. Wow. What an ugly process. Anybody can grab them. And headhunters that grab them get paid for that. They get paid for every person they grab and whisk off to the military service. Whew. What a way to operate. And then we call it a democracy, a nation that suspended their elections, an administration that took. And here's the other thing. And I really should go on Green Greg's and talk this out separately. Think about this. If there were a coup in Mexico or Canada, sponsored by, even if it was true or not, if you thought it was sponsored by China or Russia or somebody else, and then they turn around and talk about putting missile bases in said country, we wouldn't stand for it. Remember the Cuban Missile Crisis? We'd go in and whop the heck out of these countries. Well, you got to remember the Short-Range Ballistic Missile Treaty, the ABM Treaty, not the ABM Treaty, that's the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty, but the Short-Range Ballistic Missiles Treaty that we had with Russia, we pulled out of it just before this thing went down with the Ukraine change of power, the coup. And suddenly, NATO was talking about putting these missiles in Ukraine. Yeah, it was going to make NATO, Ukraine a NATO nation, and was going to put these missiles in there. That's just right up on Russia. right up on them. And then Russia had the eastern oblast in Russia were mostly Russian. The people there were Russians. They didn't even want to be part of it, and they found themselves, because they wanted out, getting attacked by Ukraine major. So Russia had a couple reasons for going in. One, the attacks that were going on to the Russians in Donbass area, and two, the United States would have done the same darn thing. Everybody's chomping on Russia for invading Ukraine. The United States would have went into Mexico or Canada if there had been a situation like that. Now, if you think I'm wrong, put a 1 in the chat room. If you think I'm right, put a 2 in the chat room. I'd like to see what you think about this. What do you think about that situation? I'm really curious. Free Arby's. What? Oh, tell me this lunch thing. Yeah, we got to figure that out. I think I'm busy on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday right now. We'll have to figure something out. 5 days. Yeah, we could probably do something. Anyway, I'm not seeing any votes. All right, now I see 1, 2. So I'm not saying that they were right for going in and invading, but the United States would have done it too, I think. So when you put it in that context, you don't get that from the American news. You don't ever hear that from the American news. Oh, Russia just invaded Ukraine. Oh my God. But just before they invade them, a lot of people said, oh, they're not going to invade because Putin just said he wasn't going to invade. Well, when I saw the blood supplies and everything going on, oh yeah, they're going in. They're going in. Definitely. And they did. So, but just like all the old saying, you know, the first your no good plan survives first contact with the enemy. They thought they would win in 3 days. So did the West. Everybody thought Russia was just going to whip them right off the bat. So, you know, there's some statement for the Ukrainians that they were able to hold off and take back some territory. But there's also a statement of the bad management Russia had going in the first place, because they thought they had a cakewalk. And they found out how vulnerable their trucks and tanks were, and just stuck rolling in on main highways. That don't work in modern warfare. Anyway, I might have used to. Only got 1 vote. Well, that was another reason. That's been cited, but it don't make a lot of sense to me, because the Russians and the Ukrainians are the same people ethnically. So why would you create an ethnic disease against these guys when you're the same guys as them? That don't make no sense to me. That don't make no sense to me. Yeah, they had we have biolabs everywhere, probably every state, they're all over the country, all over the world. A lot of them are just indeed for agricultural disease. Now, I think Putin used that. He said it, and a lot of people bought into it, but I have a hard time believing that one. Just frankly, I'd have a hard time. I could be wrong, but I have a hard time thinking that was the actual reason. And he also claims the Nazi stuff. No, it boiled down to a couple things. One thing I've always said is Russia always felt vulnerable, that they're wide open, and troops could invade into Russia easy because the Russian plain is wide open. And since the way back in the Russian Empire and the Catherine the Great, Peter the Great, they strove to put their frontiers out to the north and south of the Carpathian Mountains, so that they have good controllable choke points to keep European forces out. And they tried to do that in other areas around their country to expand their empire for their own, to not be invaded purposes. And they've done that over and over historically. And this really just fits within that context. I'll agree with Peter Zion on that. Now, I did attack him in my both 2 videos I put out on Green Greg's on talking robotics and super soldiers, biologically and genetically enhanced people that China is on the cusp of producing, and showing how that this whole idea that China is about to collapse demographically, you can't bank on that, unlike what Peter Zion says. So I picked on there, but I think he's right on this, because it's been the philosophy of Russia from way back, way back. They feel like for their security, they've got to have their frontiers out beyond where they're at today. And they felt vulnerable ever since the Soviet Union broke up. So I think that's got more to do with it. And the fact, again, that we withdrew from that treaty, and then suddenly we were talking about making Ukraine, we overthrew the government in Ukraine, and then we're talking about making Ukraine NATO and putting those missiles, which the treaty had previously outlawed, right in Ukraine, right up on the border of Russia. I mean, that's the same as the Cuban Missile Crisis, except it's closer. Cuba at least had some waterway before Florida, and it wasn't right up against Moscow's right there. I mean, Moscow is what, a 3-hour drive, something like that. It's not that difficult. It's not that long far into Moscow. That's just straight plains and the highways on. So Moscow has a lot to be concerned about there, and it's a lot more critical to them. Even Mexico would be hard pressed to threaten us that much, except maybe the southwest part of the United States. But the capital city is right there, close by. The main population center for Russians is right there. Canada, because it's more intimate border with the United States, might be more of a threat if Canada were flipped. But even Canada would have a hard time pulling off what could be done from Ukraine. So Russians have been invaded many times. And Russians are very sensitive to this. I was in Moscow in 2010. I went to an opera in Moscow in 2010, March of 2010, and it was actually inside the Kremlin. It was actually inside where their Congress or part of whatever you want to call it. I think it's the Diet. It was in the building they meet in. They had a big theater in there. And the whole purpose of it was to celebrate their defeat of the Nazis, of Germany, which cost them, that war was very rough on Germany, on Russia, because it cost them like, what, 40 million people or something like that. It was awful to them. They paid a dear price in that war, far worse than we paid in any war we've ever fought in. So they take it really personal. They still do there. There was a huge, long lines to get in that opera. Long lines, stretched for blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks. And I had a pretty good seat, and we got there fairly early, so we didn't have to suffer as long lines as some people did. And it was a good opera, good performance. They had the Cossacks up there dancing, about this far above the floor. They're kicking their legs out. I just hurt my knees to look at it. But they take that very personal. And we Americans can't even understand that. And right now we're not trying to, because the media and the neocons want war. They've got it in their mind that somehow they can defeat a nuclear nation. You don't realize when their back is up on the wall, finally, that's probably going to push the big red button and the nukes will fly. There's a red line there somewhere. You just can't expect it to totally take over Russia without having nukes flying. We're poking a bear way too much, way too much. We could have had an agreement. And see, here's one of the things. We're really fighting over there, over land that Ukraine wants back, that don't want to be part of Ukraine. Why, these people don't have the right of self-determination? Not according to the West. I think all people should have a right of self-determination. Why should we put our homeland here in America at risk over an area that's maybe the size of New Jersey that doesn't want to be part of Ukraine, to try to force them to be in Ukraine, put our whole country, the whole world at risk to being turned into a cinder? I think that's pretty damn close to the definition of insanity. And I think our neocons, and I think Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal are insane. And the whole crowd that wants to push this, I think they have lost their lid. Maybe they're taking ketamine too. They're off their rockers. If you disagree with me, put a 3 in the chat room. If you agree, put a 4 in. I like to see you vote on that. But I don't think we got any business in this war. And I think because Europe is trying to drag us into it, we should get out of NATO immediately, because they're trying to drag us in. And this whole surprise attack. Now, Trump probably didn't know anything about it, but I bet you the CIA did. Did you see the reports that come out lately claiming the CIA actually controls all presidential administrations? Oh yeah, there was one president who wanted to break the CIA up. And then he took this little ride in Houston back in 1963. Last ride. Yeah. So where that bottom, is it possible that the CIA takes heads of departments that come in with a new president, and the new president take them individually in the skiff room and say, look, if you don't cooperate with us, and they show them the videos, the pictures, what do? I don't know. Allegedly, I don't know. The CIA ought to be, the whole house should be cleaned out. Everybody in the agency should be fired. immediately, lock, stock, and barrel. Start from scratch. Maybe there's probably a lot of good. I've known CIA people that were former CIA people that were really good people. I know of one director who they blackballed. He was a good guy, actually. Well, they blackballed him. Woolsey. I think he's a good guy. He really is a champion of power grid defense. And they blackballed him severely. He was a Democrat. He's a Republican now. But he got blackballed. But I think it's because he didn't play their game. Oh, yeah. So there you are. I think, that house should be cleaned out completely. Rename the agency even. Don't leave it, even if you get the people out, don't leave it with the same structure. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolute, and they have too much power in that agency. Why? Because the bureaucrats that are in there for 30 years and the president's only served 4 years, so they figure they can dominate. They got all the intel, the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Don't ever forget that. Knowledge is power. Power is the most powerful thing. Trump's got more power. Elon may have more money, but Trump's got more power as a factor that Elon forgot about. Anyway, yeah, maybe somebody's going to come knocking on my door now. I call for on media for disbandment of the CIA. I don't know, maybe shoot down my whole channel. I may disappear here. Anyway, yeah, that was his real name, Marsh. Wasn't Ruby. It wasn't Ruby. We got some long discussions here in the chat room. Since I'm not showing articles, I'm going to switch over to the chat room here on my computer. I can see it a little better, I think. Anyway. Yeah, Trump is exposing the swampies. Yeah, so he's at risk. So let me go up to the top of the chat room and then scroll down. See what I missed here. Hey, Meg Horizon, how you doing from Alaska? Alice Vanderbergen, excuse me. I predict Tesla drop to $23 when it hits the fan. Yeah, well, a lot of people aren't buying, a lot of people going to buy electric vehicles, bought them. So I think they pretty much ran through their market. Elon probably understood that, and that's why he's trying to switch to robotics, which is a smart move on his part. But since Tesla's performed so poorly under him, the board of directors may get rid of him. He is at big risk now. And if the company don't get federalized, the board may kick him out. Hey, Sasquatch man, how you doing? Lord Dragon the Red. Well, hello, Lord Dragon the Red. Sergeant Lee. Kelly Luga, fourth reign, maybe. Sergeant Lee, 666 times 3 equals 1998. Oh, that's when California banned smoking. Well, that's when they started taking away people's freedoms, right? Yeah, Marines. They're talking Marines now. Good to see you, Judy. Romance is over. I reckon so. Four faces, Gemini, Sergeant Lee. They're actors. Yeah, there's a lot of that. We definitely know that Zelensky is an actor. He was a comedian. And if you believe the fake media, then you're fools. Amen, Billy Wayne. Oh, I posted stuff on Facebook. I've had people just come back to me and says, where you get this? How come you ain't watching the media? You need to watch the main media. That's where the truth is. I'm going, oh my God, you poor dumb saps. They could, Argo. They could. But I'm not sure the government can run SpaceX. In fact, if they run it like NASA, NASA is probably the best federal agency is. They've scored repeatedly higher with employee satisfaction than the other agency year over year, mainly because, it's kind of mission oriented and people can believe in the mission. But it's still a federal agency and it's still got lots of inefficiencies. I mean, look, they come up with SLS which is using a lot of old technology, but it did work. It flew around the moon and it worked. Whereas Elon is still blowing up starships. But yeah, I worked on this thing. It's not a cost-effective booster. If Elon gets that together, that would be the way to go. But it's looking like it's he's got some real issues. I don't know if he can make it. Alice Vanderbergen, keep safe and proud. Yeah, be careful out there, Alice, because she's in. Are you in LA? I know you're in California. Are you in LA, Alice? If you are, you need to keep your head low. It could get ugly there. Lord have mercy. Elon has Asperger's. Oh, does he? Well, that might be part of it too. Asperger's and taking drugs, not a good combination. Maybe that's, I don't know why he's taking ketamine. It may be cause of it. Hey, Trump's taking it. Well, Trump's got a weird way of speaking. He talks like somebody in grade school, just his language, but yet, he's smart. He plays 4D chess like nobody, but still his language is like, wow. Of course, then W talked like he was a redneck and not even a smart one, like myself. But at the same time, I remember when he was running against, what was his name? He was running against, they both went to the same school. They're both members of Skull and Bones, so I have no use for the Bushes. None of them. I don't like them. None of them. So, Daddy Bush was a CIA man, and I think he was in the deep state. I think his son was too. But W had always hammered. What was the name of the guy he ran against? Anyway, everybody would act like the other guy was intellectually superior, but actually W outscored him at Harvard. He came out ahead of him in GPA. A lot of people didn't realize that. Oh, shoot. What was the name? What was that guy's name? Yeah, he won 3 Purple Hearts and threw them away on the steps of the Capitol. Oh, idiot. Greg, you're 3,331 over the 5K mark down here. What? Rodney, what is that? Your $3,331 is what you're saying is $5,000 in Australia is $3,331 here. Okay, I think that's what you're saying. Okay. Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, said, "Don't buy Bitcoin, buy nugs and ammo." Amen. I got mine. Who's the Caesar of our time? Is it Trump? Or is it Putin? Who's the Caesar of our time, Sergeant Lee? Have lots to do here. Men, meds to sick animals. God bless and keep all of you. Okay, Alice, you take care of yourself. Say 5 days. You're talking weekend, next weekend? Weekends kind of, you have to coordinate because my schedule is really dependent on when I can get my carpenter guy here to do work for me. So let's just talk it ahead. You need to send me your phone number. We'll have to talk on the phone because there's some things I have a hard time scheduling. We're still trying to get the solar finished. That's a high priority to me. I got to get that done. Now I got to get watered out to my garden. I mean, these are immediate high priorities that I got to take care of. Ukraine is for Napoleon stopped. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's why they want to keep Ukraine inside or Russia. Arnold says, DJT, send a message warning both the government, California, LA mayor, they're pinning doom due to the state of, yeah, there you go. Well, they're basically running an insurgency. Slavs are sick of Ukraine, that they have the mass graves there and British oh. You don't think we'd respond likewise, Billy Wayne? Well, we certainly put the world on notice during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Depends on who's president. Some will let them fly balloons all over across the United States. Now, anybody in the country allow in Chinese transformers with backdoor cellular devices that can shut them down. The bear will eat you. They are hungry. Oh, never back a bear in the corner. That's exactly what we're doing. In San Francisco, okay. Yet I would welcome the Marines up here. So far, things haven't been as crazy as LA yet. Let's hope they don't get that way. Alice. Jerry Gamble. Good morning, Mr. Greg. How are you doing? How are you doing, Jerry? My grandson has no verbal autism. Oh, Jerry, that's rough. Are you gone, Rodney? Well, good night, Rodney. Glad you were with us. Slim821. How will Elon's flattery response for providing NASA rides to ISS? Will Trump get behind NASA's funding and support another path for new, larger budgets? Well, we was talking about that, Slim. You missed it. Or maybe you caught it. I don't know. You were kind of mid comments. I know you're toward the end here. I don't know where Trump's going to go. It may depend on whoever he appoints, but he's still apparently for going to the Mars. But let's hope that he don't deviate from the moon, because if we allow the Chinese to beat us to the moon, they can own the Earth with a mass driver up there. I did a video on that. If y'all hadn't seen it, go look for it. I call it how China could own the Earth or own the world or something like that. But I had a picture of an astronaut with a Chinese flag on the moon. I'll go into some detail on that. At the age of 86. Okay, Bill. Very true story. My grandmother on my father's side actually went on a date with George H.W. Bush back in the 40s. Wow. What'd she tell you about that? Alice Vanderbergen says the Floyd riots got pretty bad. They were burning up buildings in Oakland. Wow. Yeah. They came to Huntsville, Alabama. I did this on the video too. And there was another prepper on my property. He turned out to be a real problem guy. I thought one of us wasn't going to walk away alive from confrontation we had. But he always had to be tough, Mr. Bad Guy. He was all scared of the riots and the groups. I said, look, we're in Huntsville, Alabama. Now nobody's going to get away with that crap down here. So when the group went to Huntsville to do their protest, I took another old lady with me who was working on my worm farm at the time. And I said, hey, we're going to the riots. You want to go? What, you going to the riots? Are you crazy? We actually walked all around the place. Had a good time. I did a video on it. So I went right to it. But I didn't think it'd be like that. And it wasn't in Huntsville. They were contained. Huntsville was a Republican town. You don't get away with this stuff in Huntsville. Do you, Slim? Was he Hansy? Australia. Chewy, how you doing, Chewy? Good to see you. No, I'm not in the van anymore. I've graduated. I'm in my tiny home now. It'll be 95F tomorrow. Wee. She told me she was working. She told me she worked for them for a while, and she went on a date with them, but it didn't work out. Well, probably better off for her. The whole Bush crowd scares me, guys. They're definitely deep state. Definitely. I mean, at least he didn't push gun control. I mean, he did some things to be in agreement with the party, but I'm on to let's see, I'm gonna look at a couple of things on here on my phone. I'm gonna check out a couple of things real quick. So let's see. Anyway, something I'm going to check out here. Not seeing it. All right, so it'll be 100 here. Oh yeah, I want to check out the temperature. What's it going to be here tomorrow? 68 here right now, going down to 57 overnight. Our high tomorrow, today, I guess it's now tomorrow already. Our Sunday high here is going to be 92. And went 93 later in the week. These are it's dry heat. It's not as bad. That's what I knew in Alabama. So I can go to bed upstairs and it can be 90 degrees and I can sleep just fine. As long as I sleep in my birthday suit. I'm not even running a fan. In Alabama, I'd be running a fan. I got one in here though, down here running right now. Sitting on low. But I turn off all my power at night, so there's no power in the house because I'm running on gasoline right now until I get my solar. Hopefully I have my solar here real soon before it gets hot, and then I can put a fan upstairs if I need it. Anyway, my grandma was a fine lady. Get my looks from her. Well, I tell you what, being a fine lady may be why it didn't work out with Bush. She was H.W. Bush, huh? Yeah, he was the one you don't want to be with. Hey, real quick, I want to see if I can find it. Something I'll show you here. Ding, 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 ding. Let me do another share. For you guys that don't know, I've done some planting already, and I'm not going to plant again until I get more water. I get my pump put in. Hopefully it'll be tomorrow. And I did plant the first crops in the rows because I had okra and, peppers and things like that. But a lot of my garden is going to be planted this way. This is 9 square foot squares. And I got the idea of this from Jason Avers of Green Country Agroforestry. Go subscribe to him. He's not in the chat room tonight unless he just joined. I don't see it. But I'm going to plant this way because all this stuff here on this list, and I didn't mention this last time I showed it on Green Griggs, all this stuff is things that you can store without having to process it. You don't have to can it. You don't have to refrigerate it. You don't have to put it in a freezer. This stuff will store in a root cellar for most part, or somebody can store above ground, like the sweet potatoes or squash in the center. You can see that this is on that Three Sisters idea of planting what the Indians did. What they planted with when they planted squash, beans, and corn, and it would plant pole beans that would climb up the corn, and that's what I got. And so I got a bunch of seeds for that I'm about to put in, and I'm going to divide a lot of my garden up this way. The reason you got spaces in between is because whatever you're planting in the center, this is vining, like either squash, especially winter squash, or sweet potatoes. They're going to make vines that will grow out. They need some room to grow. The corn, and they'll provide ground cover as they grow, which will help to keep the moisture in and also help keep weeds down. The corn provides the support for the beans. The beans provides the nitrogen for the corn, and they all work real well symbiotically. And this is all food you can store for a long term. So this is a great, and this gives you your proteins with your beans, and you get the starches for calories from the corn, and the sweet potatoes will give you some calories, but a lot of minerals too. So this is or winter squash either way, and they're all delicious. So this is a good survival garden, a very good survival garden. And if you can put 484 of these on 1/10 of an acre, and you can produce enough to feed 4 people. That's what it boils down to. This is why it's a great survival garden scenario. And I highly encourage you to go to True Leaf Market. Right now, you can still plant most of this stuff. I found True Leaf Market. Use my links that I post in my videos from True Leaf Market, or go to Eden Brothers. You can get a lot of the same stuff either way. They're both non-GMO heirloom seeds. So here it says non-GMO since 1974. And the seeds are heirlooms. You can get a lot of different things here. You name it, you can find it here. So right now you can still plant. This is a good survival strategy, my friends. This is a good way to prep. And with the potential war on our heads here, this is something you want to look at. And by the way, I got my seeds in here. And they include things like the blue Hopi corn. All the corn I bought is now this is sweet corn, but I did get a lot of the corn that's going to last, like the Connecticut Field pumpkin. These are big seed packets. Uh, Now they guarantee the sprouting when you go to True Leaf. This is Burgess Buttercup Winter Squash. Got Tucker's favorite white corn. Now see, this has got most of the stuff is like 100 days, and some of it's less, like 65 days is all it requires. Waltman Butter Winter Squash. Well, this is all stuff you can still plant, guys, in most places. Organic painted mountain corn. That's one of your Indian corns there. There's a where the growth time is on. It's on the website. I know, because I used that as a guide to figure out what I was going to buy. Here's the blue Hopi corn. Definitely going to plant all that. I got a lot of seed here. I like a lot more than I need. Tucker's favorite yellow corn. The other one's white corn. I've already planted some Kentucky snap beans. Vegetable spaghetti. This is your spaghetti squash. So if you want to make a good spaghetti, low carb spaghetti that's very nutritious, it's a lot better for you than the stuff you get out of the stores. And this is one I'm really proud of. King of the Mountain, Gardner pole bean, lima beans. This is a lima pole bean. So it's kind of like a butter bean. It goes on a pole. I've already got the snap beans, Kentucky Wonder. Somewhere I got a bunch of seeds for rattlesnake seeds in some of my totes. I haven't found them. I love growing those. Those are some of my favorites, but I have planted like 9-year-old seeds and they all sprouted, so I'm not worried. I'll find them later. I know I'll be able to plant them in a later year and they'll still come up. At least I have the faith and confidence they will. So, yeah, I saved a bunch of those seeds are somewhere in one of my totes. So I should have good success with those coming up. Anyway, let me go back to the chat room here and see what I missed, and then we're going to call it a night. La 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 la. Hang on. Back to this. Back to there. All right. I grew my own sweet potato slips to plant. I've ordered some purple sweet potatoes because they're supposed to be the most nutritious. I've ordered some slips for that, and I got a few other slips here. I used to grow sweet potatoes in Alabama, but the deer ate them all up. I used to grow sweet potatoes, and I grew them in just worm castings. The darn sweet potatoes were this big. They were huge, thick, long. They grow like crazy in worm castings. 100 degrees F. It's been cool here in western Alberta. 10 degrees C overnight. Okay. I don't know what 10 is, but that sounds cool. So I think what 25 is room temperature. 0 is freezing. I know that. All right, here in Austin. Yeah, you got real humid down in Texas. I know that. Let's see. I thought about moving to Texas. I don't know yeah, fir trees don't do as well down there. We used to plant some Norwegian spruce and I think we did some Colorado blue spruce in Alabama. They would grow for several years, but eventually they did kill them out. White pines. Serving the Texas Army National Guard as an airborne infantryman. All right, very good. Oops. All right, this thing ain't rolling. It ain't scrolling on me like I want it to. Arthur Gorowski, how you doing? X-Dragon 6969. Your place is looking nice. Thank you, Papa Bush. Yeah, all right. Some people think that Papa Bush's wife, the one he actually married, was a daughter of Aleister Crowley. Well, a lot of people think that she was actually the daughter of Aleister Crowley. What do y'all think? Here in Nashville, our mayor is in deep crowd for interfering with ICE. Okay, well, maybe he should go to jail. It's difficult to get in there and pick the beans. Oh, okay. I'll try to have some walkways. Well, that's why it's only 3 square foot by 3 square foot. Hope you can reach in. And the corn's not on the inside. That's where the either the squash or the sweet potatoes at. Hi, Carol. How you doing? Yeah, I think that's some good useful information. I will show that in a garden video. Tomatoes up, cucumbers. I planted some cucumbers too. Had to restart my channel a couple times trying to get the vids back up. Okay. We have mule deer. There are white-tailed deer, antelope, and mule deer. I did get a picture of a mule deer buck with a big rack up on the hill above me a few weeks ago, probably a couple of months ago. I see deer tracks occasionally around here. I've seen them running around my road. I don't see as much deer tracks here, though, as I did in Alabama. Alabama's probably got the biggest population of white-tailed deer as anybody. But what I have seen here is mule deer. My neighbor up the way here is about, I guess, one more than half a mile, almost 3/4 of a mile up the road, the closest neighbor on my road. He got a picture of an antelope, and he's seen some antelope since. I'm not seeing the antelope here. I want to put a fence up around my garden. 10 degrees is like 45. Yeah, that's probably about right. Guys, do you know I also volunteer to work with the Border Patrol on special missions? Well, good. 6 greenhouses. Well, that's great. I plan to put in some greenhouses, but it's going to take me some time. I'm just trying to get the gardening started. 4-man team. One of us was a Border Patrol agent. Okay. Oh, we got deep function 100,000 minus 1 in the house. Didn't see you. I'm missing some comments, it seems. How long have we been going? 71 minutes. Oh, Lord, we've gone long. We won't go that long tonight. But we get chatting sometimes. This is a battle for resources. They're just saying, yeah, we're going to get some of that. I don't have a well in, but I'm going to set up to collect rainwater. On average, we expect about 12 inches a year, which just off the ceiling of this tiny home will get me almost 1,900 gallons. I'm going to set up to collect rainwater. I do have water delivered to me right now. I got a big tank out here. Hey, deep function. DPFX, I take it as deep function. 999999. I call that 100,000 minus 1. I don't know if you intend to be referred to in that fashion, but that's what it looks like to me. Deep function on 100,000 minus 1. But I think in mathematics, I'm an engineer. When you clean hair from your hairbrush, place the hair around. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's a good idea. Bill and Wayne Norton, Greg, I have to say I'm happy for your situation. You've done work well. How's you? Oh, my leg, I did have a blood clot in it. It's clear. That's the good news. Blood clot's cleared. It cleared out. I took some blood thinner and then it cleared out. So I think I'm good. It's probably just from all the moving. I'm driving back and forth to Alabama so many times. And you're supposed to stop and get out and walk around every 2 hours. I would drive 4 hours straight and not stop. Did a lot. And I may have paid dearly for that. So that's the case. So, my friends, I moved here as a prep. This is my bug out home. I am living in my bug out home. I'm on the dead end of a long road. Nobody comes down here unless they're coming to see me. They got no other reason to be down here. And if they're not invited, they got no reason to be down here. And yeah, I got to stretch my legs. You're right. So I've learned the lesson on that. Now, from now on, I won't drive 4 hours straight. No more of that. Man, when you got a 2-day drive, the road gets old. And there's some pretty sights on the road. Just you get tired of being on the road. You want to get where you're going. So I didn't want to stop a lot. And when I would travel with other people, God Lord, they wanted to stop all the time and spend forever just at any one stop. And it drove me nuts. I hated that. So, it was just, I've traveled with some of these guys. We'd be on the road 5 days. And I made the trip in it's a 22-hour drive. I made it in just about a day on one occasion. I mean, I think I stopped and slept 2 hours and I do that sometimes. Stop and sleep 2 hours and get up and go. PT is the most important. Physical training, huh? More PT, drill sergeant, more PT. We like it. We love it. We want more of it. Arr! What do you say, Army? Life has always been a struggle. As new innovations appear, life gets easier. Can we imagine not having a clothes washing machine? There you go. Well, we find other ways to challenge ourselves when life gets easy in one area. We create our own reason to have a struggle in life, don't we? A lot of it's just drama and interpersonality stuff. We got to learn how to get along. Yep, physical training. Hey, that's right. I know it. More PT, drill sergeant. More PT. We like it. We love it. We want more of it. Arr. Been there, done that. It's in the Army. Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and then Fort Greely, Alaska. Did my basic training and my AIT, advanced individual training, at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. In July, I was out running. We did 20-mile road march. We had to run everywhere we went, and it was the summer in July 1979. I was 19-year-old. It was hot and humid, but we ran everywhere. I went in the Army weighing, I don't know, maybe 150 pounds. I ate like a horse and came out weighing 133 pounds. I was like a poor starving Somalian. All you could see was skin and bones, but I was strong as could be. Drill sergeant got mad at me and told me to do push-ups until I said I was wrong. Well, I wasn't wrong, so I didn't quit doing push-ups. I didn't when he getting tired, I just kept doing push-ups, kept doing. And I just did it in pure defiance. It's like, man, I can just do this forever. It seemed like, wow, I was really surprised. I'd be lucky to do 3 today. Fort Benning. Yeah, there you go. That's a heck of a place to be in the summer too. Sawdust pit. Oh yeah. All right. Ready for my AARP early bird special. There you go. Marsh Reds. Yeah, most of my viewers on here are around my age group. On this, there's the second largest group is just under my age group, as YouTube puts it. They got certain bands for various age groups to categorize your viewers. So yeah, I learned about the campaign fountain. Okay, 1988 basic, 1989 for infantry airborne schools. Yeah, you went in about 9 years later after I did. I was 19 when I went in. Stubborn is strong. Well, I was stubborn. That's the truth. I wasn't going to give in because I was right. I wasn't going to give in. So I was punishing myself, but I was just amazed that I could do it. I think they get tired of me doing it. Finally, just get out of there. Get out of here. I just kept knocking it out. Man, I was just amazed. It was like I could do infinite. It seemed like I do infinite amount of push-ups. I know it wasn't infinite. At some point, it would have got me. But I did them for a long time. It just amazed me. So, you lose weight, you got less mass to push, and you done push-ups endlessly for weeks on end. You get pretty darn good at it. You're doing weeks on end. You get pretty darn good at it. Well, I was a country boy back in the time. I used to go up hauling hay and throwing hay bales around. So I wasn't a weakling when I went in. And an expert rifle, good grenade. Top 5 of 60 troops in my platoon. Well, very good. Well, I made Post Soldier of the Year at Fort Greely, Alaska in 1981. Anyway, that and $5 will buy you a cup of coffee in some establishments. Anyway, so let's see. Started basically 128 pounds of fish. Oh, you gained weight. Man, I ate like a horse. I ate everything I could put my hands on, and I lost weight like crazy. That was something. I ate everything I could lay my hands on. Boy, I was still losing weight. It was hot. Played all concentration courses at Little Creek before I was 17 years old. Okay, you went at 17. Gingers are the best, says Billy Wayne Norton. I'll take you're a fellow ginger then. Muscle. Yeah, well, I guess that's why I was so stubborn too, right? I did some tonight. Okay. Did some push-ups tonight, less than my teens. Yeah, I got to get back into that. I got to get some exercise going. I used to do pull-ups and all kind of stuff. No problem. Boom, 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 boom. Anyway, Guys, we've been on here for 79 minutes. I think it's probably time to go because we get real long on these videos. Nobody will watch it after we get done. So, and some people watching later is going to pay for it if I don't get any super chats. So I don't want to make it so long we don't get any views. So I'm going to end the video. It's already 12:45 here. I got stuff to do in the morning. And the sun comes up at about 5 in the morning here now. So, and I have a hard time sleeping when the sun rises, and I've not got any sleep in over a week. The longest night's been 4 hours. It's usually been about 3.5. Greg had some physical training and the hard work ethics. You don't work, you don't eat. There you go. That was the philosophy I grew up under. That was the way my dad was. But if somebody didn't work, he hated somebody didn't work. Boy, he would cuss them. You wouldn't work, boy, he would call them everything under the sun. So not working wasn't an option. Hey, it's 12 eggs. Well, very good. That's all the chicks. I need to get some chickens. I got a lot of goals out here. I hope the world lasts long enough for me to get this place operating the way I want it to, but I can survive. I'm at the level that I can survive. So I got to put my solar together, but I got everything to do it with. So there's still a couple of things I need to assemble. My water collection, I got everything to do that with too. I think I may have enough fencing for my garden. I may have to get a few more pieces, but I'm basically just about there now. Nothing that can't be done without a little labor. So it's been a lot of work, guys. Well, thank you, Billy Wayne. That said, share my videos. Please share them wide. And I'm going to go. It is getting late here, and I got to, I will be waking up early in the morning whether I have to or not, just because of the sun. It's tough. Plus, I get up early a lot of mornings for, my day job is now I'm working remotely with Germans on avionics for a commercial space station, and they're into their days at the beginning of our days, and so I had to get real early for some of those meetings, and so it makes it really hard for me to do videos. Really difficult to do a video because it takes so many hours to put everything together. That's why I'm usually late coming on. I got this on a little early because I actually planned to make this an upload, not a live, but it took too long to get stuff together. And if I'm after about 10 o'clock Central Time, and I'm basically working on California time right now, which adds another disadvantage to my whole schedule. But I've noticed that nothing uploaded after 10, everything flops, but lives will keep running. So if I'm late putting something together, I'll just go live. But if it's real long, it hurts people wanting to watch it. Almost 4 a.m. here. All right, Judy, you're in Eastern time. So I think it is a good time to call it a night here. So thank you, mods. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I really appreciate you all. We're family here. Don't forget it. And that's one reason I like to stay here and chat with you guys. And a lot of YouTubers don't do this. They just give their spill and get out. And that really helps the people watching later. So I probably hurt my channel somewhat not, but I feel like we're family. So that's why I like to talk with you guys. So I'm going to say thank you for watching. And with that, we're going to say happy, hearty, good night to one and all, like Santa used to say in the song. Anyway, to one and all, a good night or a good day wherever you are. And that's